All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Sports Junkies Podcast. Your boy Kid here, and today we got an NCAA segment going on. We got some stuff to talk about, but before we get into the video, I kind of want to talk to you guys about the status of the channel. We just had a video do great with the NFL and the Steelers video. Make sure you guys go check that out. But we don't just cover one sport. We don't just cover one team. We try to talk about as many teams as we can. We try to talk about the biggest stories in sports, and that ranges from the NFL to the NCAA to the NBA with JT. And then we're even planning on dodging into the MLB, and then we plan on hopping into the NHL as well. So maybe we might even do some fighting too. You never know, man. Just let us know down in the comments what you guys want to hear us talk about, and we'll definitely hop up on that. And don't forget to let us know if you guys want to see anything with the problem with. We do have a series called The Problem With, where we break down what we feel like a team's lack of success means, how they've gotten here, and how do we feel like they can get the team back on track. And we pretty much just go through the root cause of why we feel like a team hasn't found success in a certain time. So we can make a video about like the Yankees. The Yankees are a great team, but they don't have success. So that's kind of like the whole basis of the Problem With series. The last episode, the Texans one. Let's run that video up, man. We got a Auburn Tigers one. If you guys are interested for the college football, then we got the Vegas Raiders. We got the Houston Rockets, more of, the coaching, but we do got a lot of episodes for you guys. Make sure you guys go check those out. And without further ado, man, let's hop into today's topic video, which is going to be the NCAA. Like I said in the beginning, we got 4 topics I want to go through today. We're going to talk about what we can expect from Gus Malzahn at UCF. Is Georgia receiving a little too much hype this offseason? Is Oregon in trouble after their quarterback transfers? And is Justin Fields a top 5 safe pick bet? So those are going to be topics we talk about today, man. It's going to be an exciting video. So guys, make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys are thinking. And let's just get into it. Let's start with Gus Malzahn. Now, being a Georgia fan, Gus Malzahn getting fired from Auburn was possibly the most, one of the more depressing moments as a Georgia fan's life. Because, we're just so used to just destroying them nonstop. So when you lose a guy like Gus Malzahn, on one of your rival teams, a team you have to play every year, it's a bit disappointing because now you got to worry about their new coach, Brian Harsin, being a great coach and finally getting Auburn over that hump. That is that you enjoyed them not being able to get over with the former coach. So it's one of those sad moments. But Gus Malzahn is gone. Brian Harsin's in. Gus Malzahn is now at the University of Central Florida. And the main question is what to expect from Gus Malzahn. Let's just start off by saying he's been there. He's gotten some coaches from Auburn. He's trying to rebuild that system he has at Auburn. In the American Conference with, UCF, Cincinnati, Memphis. Who else is in this conference? Temple, East Carolina, Connecticut, Tulane, SMU, Houston. I believe Navy's there. South Florida. So a lot of pretty good teams in this conference, and I think overall this is a perfect signing for UCF. You get a guy who had not really any success in the SEC, but he had a team that he managed to keep, decent at football. Like in the Auburn video, I talked about how Auburn will be good for 1 year, and then they'll spend the next 3 years being absolutely terrible at football. And that's kind of the one hump that I feel like Gus Malzahn couldn't get Auburn over, is that, hey, they would beat Bama once every 4 years, and then that would be like their national championship. Because, Gus wasn't doing anything with Auburn, But they would have one good season every 4 years, and then you think, okay, well, Auburn's great again, and then the next season they'd go 6-6 or 8-4, and they wouldn't be good. It'd be a terrible team. They go to their bowl game and get exposed, pretty much like this year, exactly like this year. It was one of those years, because Auburn was great last year. They beat Bama. It was one of those years, and then this year they suck again. And they were like, look, we're starting to catch on to what Gus Malzahn's doing. Let's get him up out of here. I feel like this is a perfect hiring for UCF, okay? Let me tell you this. Gus Malzahn, he'll be recruiting mainly out of Florida now. That's going to be his pipeline, It's Central Florida, duh. That is great for Gus Malzahn because Florida is one of those top 3 states in football. If you can recruit great out of Florida, your team's going to be successful. And that's why Central Florida, that's why they were so successful a few years back when they had that long winning streak, is because they were so great at recruiting out of Central, out of Florida, the Florida area. Having that as a pipeline is important. And I feel like now with Gus Malzahn, I think recruiting will get even better for UCF. Like, they should at least be able to pull in constant top 20 classes, which I think will be better than everyone else in the American Conference. I think maybe UCF probably already does the best recruiting in the American Conference. So there's really no reason as to why they shouldn't dominate this conference every year. But, they do kind of struggle a bit. But now that they got Gus Malzahn, man, he's going to bring, I feel like, a good offensive mindset, maybe a decent enough defense. Maybe the defense will probably be the best, but he is an offensive-minded coach. So expect UCF to have a great offense soon. Probably not immediately, but sooner or later. Don't take what I'm saying too heavy, though. I'm not saying that Gus Malzahn's going to go crazy and get the best players out of Florida, because he's not. He's going to get some great players out of Florida, but he's not going to get the best players out of Florida. Gus Malzahn's a great coach, but one of the problems with Auburn was that he was losing too many recruits to Bama, Georgia, LSU, every other SEC school, Texas A&M. He was losing a lot of those players. It's not easy to recruit against Bama, and now he's got to recruit against Florida, Florida State, and I know Florida State's not really that good, but it's still Florida State, you know what I'm saying? I think actually it'll be easier to convince somebody to go to UCF than Florida State, but it's still going to be harder to convince somebody to go to UCF in the first place because it's the American Conference, you know what I'm saying? It's not one of those conferences that somebody just desperately wants to play in. So it's going to be really hard getting somebody to go to UCF. But I think Gus Malzahn will be able to convince a lot of top tier players to go to UCF. I think it'll be better than we've seen UCF do in recent years. You'll see more 4-stars. You may even see a 5-star, every now and then, 2 5-stars a year, maybe, who knows? But I think recruiting will get better for Central Florida, and I think this team's going to turn completely around. He's going to bring that heavy pounding offense. I don't know if he was calling the plays himself at Auburn, but I hope not, because the play calling at Auburn was a bit atrocious at points, not even at points, most of the time. I'm curious as if he can actually develop a quarterback. I mean, we saw Bo Nix at Auburn. Bo Nix didn't develop at all. Bo Nix remained the same exact quarterback this year in year 2. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think he got worse. So he kind of has that same trait like you would put in Kirby Smart's name. Can Kirby Smart actually develop a quarterback? Like, you got JT Daniels playing great right now, but you got to consider, like, this is a transfer quarterback. He was developed elsewhere. Can Kirby Smart actually develop a freshman quarterback and turn him into a monster? And we thought Jake Fromm was going to be that guy, but he was not. So, sadly. But I think this is a good signing. He's been grabbing some coaches from Auburn. He's got Ross Newton. He's left Auburn to come to UCF. He also got a transfer. What's his name? Cat Bryant. He's a defensive end. He just transferred to UCF for his final year of eligibility. So Gus Malzahn's already working magic, man. I'm telling you. Listen, when I'm looking at the future for UCF right now, I think UCF has the ability to be the best team in the American Conference for a long time. Let's see how Cincinnati continues to grow. Okay, because Cincinnati was great last season. I think I'm not even taking that lightly. Cincinnati was goated last season. They competed with Georgia, with us. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, watching Cincinnati last season was very impressive. Like, after that Georgia game, I really had to sit down and just kind of watch their highlights because they were so great. And I like the American Conference because I really feel like they're coming up. They still need to get a little bit better. Like, if Cincinnati can just recruit a little bit better, if they can turn Cincinnati into a pipeline, like a school that recruits would want to go to, or even if Gus can come do that to UCF, you could see the American Conference getting more and more notable. And like, until a team makes the playoffs from this conference, they'll continue to kind of stay like on this low brow of this group of 5 team. They won't continue to grow as long as they don't grab good recruits and as long as they don't get a team in the playoffs, which that's saying a lot because you know how the committee is when it comes to getting players in the playoffs. So it does become a bit harder for these other teams to get into the playoffs. But maybe, I don't know, man. Let's see if Gus can get a win streak going and get UCF into the playoffs, because I think they went undefeated for like 2 seasons straight and didn't make the playoffs. So maybe the committee will, get off those drugs they're doing in there and actually put teams who maybe even deserve it more. They might get them into the playoffs. Like, I feel like maybe this year Cincinnati or Iowa State, or even not Texas A&M because they already got smacked, but I feel like one of those teams could have made the playoffs just because the fact that Notre Dame had already gotten smacked by Clemson the week before. So it really didn't make sense to put Notre Dame in the playoff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, we beat them. They beat Clemson once, and then they lose again, and then You still put them in the play. It didn't really make sense to me. I think maybe Cincinnati could have gotten in because they had a world-class defense. Now, don't get me wrong. Bama would have dropped 40 on this team, but I don't really think that's the point. I think the point is like giving other teams opportunities, because I think we knew from the jump no team in America was gonna be Bama. I feel like everyone knew that. So it was just kind of like, let's not. It really doesn't matter who you put in there because they're gonna get smacked regardless. But let's not put in a team that just got their cheeks clapped on national TV by Clemson. You know, let's put a new team in there. Let's give this an opportunity to put a group of 5 team in there just to see how they look. The best group of 5 team we've seen in a while, which was Cincinnati, I feel like. So, I mean, until then, like I said, until I feel like an American Conference team gets into the playoffs, I feel like that's where Gus will kind of have to navigate around, is trying to get that team to the playoff, which will be completely hard because he's in a group of 5. But I think he's going to bring a very thick winning mentality at UCF. And UCF's already a good team right now. You know, they're not bad. You know what I'm saying? They had their coach left, and now they bring in Gus Malzahn. So they lost a good coach, and I feel like they're getting an even better coach now. But let's see if Gus Malzahn can escape that, you know, 1 year of a great team and then 3 years of mediocre like he did at Auburn. And I feel like he could have UCF American Conference champions 3 years in a row. We'll see. Let's see how, you know, great he makes this team. But let's move on to the next topic, because we're talking about Georgia a bit. I feel like I'm a Georgia fan, okay? In the NFL video, I told you guys I was a Steelers fan. I go for the Steelers. I go for Georgia. In the NBA, sadly, I go for Oklahoma City. And then in the NHL, I go for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'm kind of like all around, you know what I'm saying? Baseball, I got the Atlanta Braves. I'm kind of all around, you know, teams I just grew up watching is kind of my favorite, you know what I'm saying? So I am a Georgia fan. I'm located in Georgia, right? So it's the problem with the Georgia offseason hype right now is that I feel like we're a little too hype. And let me tell you why. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like the future for Georgia is great, but I felt that way since like 2016 or 2017, since we made the championship, because that was the first year I watched Georgia and I was like, yeah, we'll win all these games and then get, you know, beat, whatever. Who cares? Because I never really thought Georgia would be a team that would make the playoffs, even with Kirby Smart. But then when we finally made the playoffs, I'm like, oh, whoa. This team could be really good. And then we won a playoff game and I'm like, whoa. This team could be really good. You know what I'm saying? So it really got me into that whole Georgia hype a lot. And then after that, Georgia just really hasn't been the same. Like, we haven't been that great again. And there's a lot of talk about this season maybe returning us back to 2017. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, no, I don't think so. And let me tell you why, right? So we lose pretty much 2 of our defensive backs who are very important. Tyson Campbell's gone. Eric Stokes, a beast, who I knew was a beast since, 2018 when he first, got play time. When I said, look, we got to put him in over Tyson Campbell because Eric Stokes was a dog. He was a straight dog, and I take that literally. Eric Stokes, straight beast. Tyson Campbell, zone coverage beast. Man coverage, not so much. But I think we lost a lot on defense. Our D-line is about to be world class. We got Nolan Smith. Hopefully Nolan Smith can develop and get more sacks. I feel like he reminds me of like Bud Dupree from the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to know, Bud Dupree in his early years in Pittsburgh I'm talking like he was a threat. We picked him top 15? Coming off the edge, he's an open linebacker. He could always get to the quarterback, but it would be like a second too late. Half a second too late. The quarterback would throw the ball. He would cause a lot of pressure. Don't get me wrong. He was also pretty good in the run game, but he could never get the sack. And that's kind of how I'm looking at Nolan Smith right now. Nolan Smith's a dog. He's a beast, power rusher, but he's more of a run stopper than he is an actual get to the quarterback sack guy. And I don't know if the NFL scouts are seeing that. I feel like with some development, I think Nolan Smith will become a monster, because I don't want to see the second best, highest recruit Georgia's ever gotten, turn into this like forgettable player. I want to see this man as a first round pick. And it sucks because I'm like, I hate the fact that we get these top recruits, but every time we get a top 5-star recruit, I feel like they just don't really develop. the way they need to. Justin Fields developed at Ohio State. We didn't use him at Georgia, and that caused him to leave. And now we got some new 5-star quarterbacks coming in. And it makes me kind of nervous because I'm like, let's see how Georgia treats them. And let's see how these situations goes. But let me tell you why I feel like listen, okay. The only hype Georgia's receiving is from Georgia fans. I'm a Georgia fan, so I love to be hype about my team. I love the future of my team, but this past season was so disappointing to watch, okay? Because we ruined our season. JT Daniels was cleared after the Auburn game, and Florida had possibly the best Florida team we've seen since what? Since how long since Florida's been this great at football? And Kirby Smart's idea was after Stetson Bennett dropped just 14 points against Kentucky. Yes, Kentucky. 14 points. We won that game 14-3. Kirby Smart thought it would be a good idea to let Stetson Bennett start against potentially the second top 5 offense in the nation. A quarterback who just dropped 14 points on a team like Kentucky. And I sit here and I think and I wonder, Kirby, how was that the smartest decision you felt possible in your head, that was a smart decision? And he was saying that, okay, well, me and Todd Monken talked and we think that Stetson's the best option right now, because it definitely wasn't oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. I'm having a brain fart. D'Wan Mathis. It definitely wasn't D'Wan Mathis. So Georgia was at a pickle this season because we didn't have a quarterback. We have a quarterback now in JT Daniels, but we lost to Bama because our second half, Stetson Bennett showed his true colors. We lost to Florida, which pretty much ended our season. Our season was over there. It was really no even reason to watch the rest of the games until JT Daniels stepped onto the field. That's when football got interesting again, because I'm like, okay, well, let's see the future of Georgia. Everybody hyped up this quarterback. Let's see how good he is. He drops 400 yards. First game. I'm talking 3rd and longs, complete first down. 3rd and longs, 50-yard touchdown. It's like, it's just so easy for him, and it allows us to open up the RPO. I'm telling you what right now I might be too hyped for. One thing I might be too hyped for is the future of this Georgia offense. We got Brock Vandagriff coming in. We got Gunnar Stockton coming in, and I think Gunnar Stockton will eventually be the guy for Georgia. I love Brock Vandagriff, but I don't think one of them's gonna leave, because we're not gonna keep both of them. So Kirby has to understand. He has to be able to tell who that guy's gonna be. He has to be able to tell who that guy's gonna be. And I think, honestly, for the long term, for the betterment success of Georgia, I think that guy will probably be Gunnar Stockton. I think Gunnar Stockton will be probably a better overall quarterback than Brock Vandagriff. And I know it's too early to kind of compare them, and it's pointless to compare them, but that's something I'm looking at, and that's something I'm thinking about that I feel like can happen. Gunnar Stockton has that Heisman build to him. He can run. He is short. He has a great arm, quick release. His accuracy will probably improve. He has another year of high school, so let's take it slow, but it's going to be really interesting to see what we get from him. Brock Vandagriff, he just has that strong arm, man. He has a strong arm. He can probably, his pocket awareness may be better. It probably is better. And like I said, he has that deep arm that we will need, because I don't know if you guys know, but we got possibly one of the fastest player in the nation in Arian Smith on our team. So he was the fastest player in his class. He won the Fast Man Challenge or whatever at the Under Armour All-American game. And we saw him burn some DBs a few times. So I definitely expect us to get him into the offense a lot more. So it'd be great to have a guy like Brock Vandagriff. But when I talk about Georgia receiving too hype, I really want to talk about this next season, because I keep getting a little too much off topic. I keep going on these little rants, right? What is there to be? Listen, after this game against Cincinnati, I feel like the game against Cincinnati really snatched a lot of my future hype for this team, because before we played Cincinnati, we were just straight dogging team. We're dropping 50 points. And, Georgia wasn't doing that because we had no quarterback. We haven't dropped 50 points in a long time. I know we dropped 50 against Georgia Tech, but that's Georgia Tech. Come on. You know what I'm saying? But in like a real game, when was the last time Georgia actually dropped 50 points? And we just dominated South Carolina after, they upset us last year, nearly ending our season. And, it was disappointing, but it was really that game against Cincinnati. And don't get me wrong, Cincinnati had a world-class defense, but and we had a lot of players missing. But man, we can't keep recruiting top 3 classes, and then our excuse is Well, we had a lot of players opt out of the bowl game. That cannot be our excuse anymore. And I'm going to tell you, really, the defense really took a step back after Richard LeCounte got injured. After Richard LeCounte got injured. And it's a scary sight because without Richard LeCounte on the field, it felt like the defense had no presence. It felt like the defense was lost. It felt like they had no idea. It felt like the defense no longer had that Georgia identity that they've had the past few seasons, because our defense was absolutely atrocious. And it's like, well, and then people were saying, well, we sacrificed our defense for an offense. And I'm like, that's really not just true. It's just the fact that our leader of the defense is not, he's not on the field being vocal anymore. And Georgia's got to find somebody to replace him. And it's really, it's scary because I don't know what to expect from this Georgia defense next season. I know what to expect from this offense. And I know what I better expect. Darnell Washington better have at least 700 receiving yards. Okay, 10 touchdowns. Arian Smith better catch at least 10, 15 deep balls. I know we better beat Bama finally, because there's no excuses anymore. There's no excuses anymore. If Georgia doesn't win the division next year, which I'm pretty sure we will, because I think Florida's going to return back to the mediocre Florida team that we're used to. I'm just telling you right now, we can't, and I feel like we got a taste of that anyway when they played Oklahoma. Like, that's Florida. That's the real Florida without their top players. And then they're saying like, okay, well, we got Emory Jones. We're not worried about Emory Jones. I'm not. That's the last thing I'm worried about. We have our defense is way too fast and too quick for a scrambling quarterback to think he's going to come out here and just dominate us like that. Like, come on. It's, you know what I'm saying? Our defense is fast. We got a lot of fast players, and that's how Kirby recruits. He recruits speed and power, which is great. But to get back on that point, I'm just nervous about our defensive identity. I don't know who's going to step up and become that big guy. We had a 5-star safety who we were the favorites for, James Williams, and we lost him. We were the favorites for a 5-star cornerback, the number 1 cornerback in the nation, in Tony Grimes. We lost him to North Carolina. So to be quite honest, this recruiting class this year for Georgia has actually been quite lackluster. It's been great because we got Brock, and I feel like we'll need Brock, but then we got Gunnar Stockton from next year. So that one was questionable. I didn't even expect that to happen, but we have a video on the channel talking about that. It really boils down to finding the real identity for this Georgia team. We play Clemson week 1, and that is scary. That's scary, okay? We're playing Clemson with DJ, who's a great quarterback. Don't sleep on DJ, because he started against Notre Dame, and I think he threw for, 400, 5 touchdowns, no picks. So I'm going to tell you right now, Clemson's still going to have a great offense. They're losing their running back. They're still going to have a great offense. But I feel like if Georgia has this identity with a spring practice, if Georgia has their identity figured out, I feel like Georgia will be fine. And I feel like we can beat Clemson. Because if we lose to Clemson, our season's pretty much already over. And I know that's crazy to say, but if we lose to Clemson and we lose again, it makes it almost impossible for us to be accepted into the playoff. Because, Georgia will probably lose again. If we beat Clemson, we shouldn't lose again. I think every other team we play, we should be able to win. We have pretty easy games. And we'll probably face Bama in the SEC championship. We will face Bama. Come on, they just had the number 1 recruiting class. They're not slowing down anytime soon. They just got another 5-star quarterback. So, rest in peace. But I think this has to be the year Georgia takes that leap over Bama. And I feel that leap coming, but I feel like I don't really know how to put it into words of what it is that's holding us back from it. But we need to be able to take that leap and get Georgia over the elites of the NCAA. And that starts when we play Clemson. We'll have a potential chance to play 2 of the NCAA's most elite. When we talk about the top 3 teams in football, we get a chance to play 2 of them this year. A chance, because I'm saying, we should play Bama, but you never know what to get from Georgia. We get a chance. We get the chance to play Clemson and Bama. We lose to Clemson. We win our SEC. We win the SEC East easily. We should win it easily. And we get into the SEC championship where we'll possibly face Bama. If we beat Bama, we can get in the playoff. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. And right now I feel like Georgia doesn't have that identity that I've been searching for. And for me, that's kind of keeping me from getting a little too excited. So that's really how I'm gonna answer the is Georgia receiving too much hype question. I don't think Georgia's receiving too much hype. But I'm a bit nervous that Georgia doesn't have an identity. We'll see what that identity is looking like when we play Clemson week 1. Okay, if we lose to Clemson, it drops our season down because that's going to keep the committee from really taking us serious. If we can beat Clemson game week 1, I don't care if it's by 1 point or 30. I feel like Georgia won't miss the playoffs if we can beat Clemson week 1. This game against Clemson in week 1 will be the most important game on Georgia's schedule. Not even the SEC championship game will be more important, because if we beat Clemson, I feel like we can really win the rest of our games. And even if we lose to Bama in the SEC championship, I feel like we still have a shot to make the playoff. I feel like at least 1 point this season, Georgia should be ranked number 1. Georgia should be looking like the best team in football at 1 point this season. And it's going to be hard when you got teams like Bama. I feel like Oklahoma will take that next leap. Clemson, Ohio State. It's going to be interesting to see. A lot of these teams lost their quarterbacks, but Georgia's here with their same offensive identity that will get better. Georgia's offense will get better. However, their defense right now, I feel like, has no identity, and that's scary to me. But maybe we'll start playing and we'll find that identity. But until then, it's keeping me from really getting excited about the future of this Georgia football team. And then so now this next topic kind of dips into like Georgia again with like finding its identity. And then that brings us to Oregon. We got the Oregon Ducks trying to find a new identity. They lost their quarterback, Tyler. Tyler's gone after 1 season starting. He was kind of like a mediocre quarterback. He did win the Pac-12, which is not that difficult when you consider, like, when I look at Oregon as being possibly the best team in the Pac-12. No matter who their quarterback is, I feel like Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12. When I look at when they got put into the Pac-12 championship this year, I was like, well, Oregon's winning that. Like, I knew instantly Oregon was going to pull off the upset, because I'm like, no, if Oregon struggles in the regular season, which you expect from when your quarterback, is great, when you're getting over that hump of having a new quarterback, when you're moving from a guy like Justin Herbert, offensive rookie of the year in the NFL, to what they have now, and now he's gone and transferred to Texas Tech. But I think still, Oregon will struggle in the regular season, but when they need to win one game, a big game at neutral field, they're going to win it. It's Oregon. You know what I'm saying? And that brings us to our next point. Oregon no longer has a notable starting quarterback. They have quarterbacks on the roster, but they don't have a quarterback that, is the for sure starter. They got 2 guys right now that I know will end up starting next season. And I'm pretty sure one, the safest bet will be Anthony Brown, former Boston College dual threat quarterback who transferred to Oregon back in 2020. And then another guy is the true freshman, Ty Thompson, he's a 6'4", pro-style quarterback from Arizona, 4-star quarterback. I think I already said that. I don't know. But he reminds me a lot of Brad Kaya. Brad Kaya's got that great. He had a pretty great arm. Sadly, he played for Miami, so his career was, not as great as it could have been. But he reminds me of Brad Kaya, man. He's got some not, pretty great athletic legs. He runs under a 5-second 40, and he's 6'4", so that's great. He's 6'4" or 6'3" and a half. Was what I'm seeing right now on 24/7 Sports. I think this is the safest bet for Oregon. If I'm Oregon, I want Ty Thompson to be my quarterback. Now, he's a true freshman, and you want him to kind of sink in a bit. I think Anthony Brown will get the start for Oregon. But when it comes to Oregon, you can't take too much time to think, because Oregon's in like a situation that Georgia's in. Georgia opens their season against Clemson, where Oregon plays Ohio State week 2. And I'm going to tell you right now off the rip, Ohio State kind of already has their identity set up. And I think they will definitely probably smack Oregon in week 2. I don't know if it's neutral field. It may be in Oregon. It's probably in Ohio State. But it's going to be really interesting. I don't think you want Anthony Brown starting this game. And let me tell you why. Anthony Brown at Boston College was not great. Low 50% in completions, 11 touchdowns. He threw 8 interceptions. He's one of those guys. I'm trying to think of a comparison. He's one of those guys that can run. He kind of reminds me of Bo Nix. He's kind of reminds me of Bo Nix, but I would put them probably at the same amount of skill. Bo Nix doesn't throw as many picks. Anthony Brown does. So when and don't get me wrong, Anthony Brown left Boston College. He's not playing at Boston College anymore. He's playing at Oregon. So it'd be interesting to see, maybe he could take that leap, kind of like how JT Daniels did when he left USC and went to Georgia. But I don't know, man. Ty Thompson, he hasn't played obviously in college yet. He's an Elite 11 finalist. He's a great player. Commits to Oregon. He's a lock. And it's going to be really interesting. I feel like he'll be a better fit for the way Oregon runs their offense. I don't think Oregon's offense would run that great under Anthony Brown, a dual threat quarterback. I think Ty Thompson with a pro style, kind of like Justin Herbert, will probably be the best option for him because he'll have that great arm. He can fit some tight throws, and then he has the legs, to move in and out of the pocket if he needed to. So I feel like he's that best build for an Oregon quarterback. Like, he kind of reminds me of Justin Herbert. Like, he can really do that. But like I said, he's more of like a Brad Kaya build type player. But when you look at Oregon trying to rebuild their identity from leaving, from losing Justin Herbert, the offensive rookie of the year, you need to have a guy pretty much similar. You don't want to just rebrand your entire offense. Maybe that's why Oregon struggles so much this season. If they were trying to maybe kind of like change their offense a little bit too much. And with Ty Thompson, I feel like you can kind of get back onto that offense you already had. And, Mario Cristobal can get this team back to get into the Pac-12, winning Rose Bowls, win the Pac-12 championship, maybe win a couple more, win multiple in a row. You know what I'm saying? When I look at Oregon as being the best team in the Pac-12. They have that potential. They have great defense. Kayvon Thibodeau is great. This will probably be his last year. They have potential to have a great offense as well, and I think that starts with Ty Thompson starting at quarterback for the Oregon Ducks. But let's get on the last topic here. Is Justin Fields a safe top 5 pick? And I'm not going to talk about this topic too long. This will be just maybe like 2-3 minutes. But let's talk about. Let me say what I have a problem with when it comes to Ohio State quarterbacks. Ohio State quarterbacks are pretty much similar to Alabama quarterbacks. You have a quarterback on Alabama, no matter who Alabama's quarterback is. They had Blake Sims throwing dimes. You know what I'm saying? No matter who Alabama's quarterback is, I feel like they're more hype based because of the talent they have around them. Alabama always has top receivers on their team. So you got to start to realize like how much easier it is for an Alabama quarterback to look great at football. Like, I'm looking at Mac Jones right now and I'm like, is Mac Jones really that great, or did he have a guy named Devonta Smith, a wide receiver Heisman winner on his team? And then I look at Tua now. Tua was the first quarterback from Alabama where I looked at and I'm like, okay, this guy probably has talent, because Tua had that great deep ball. He could run. He's athletic. He was a perfect, I feel like, built quarterback. And then he had the hip injury, which, maybe he's still trying to recover from in the NFL, but I feel like Tua will be the answer. And then we had, and then that leads us back to Ohio State. Dwayne Haskins was a top, quarterback. He got drafted after Daniel Jones laughed at him. Daniel Jones is doing decent in New York right now. Dwayne Haskins is now playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, my team. We signed him to a league minimum contract. And if I'm Dwayne Haskins, I'm like, that's not where you want to be. And I don't know if NFL GMs are starting to notice that or not. Like, Ohio State quarterbacks are as system as it gets. Now, I'm not saying that's Justin Fields at all. I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a great quarterback. But, like, when I look back to games like Northwestern, I'm like, well, he can easily be figured out. If Northwestern could figure out Justin Fields, I feel like in the NFL, it'll be a lot easier to figure out Justin Fields from a decent enough defensive aspect. Not many teams have great defenses anymore. But when I feel like Justin Fields faced a team with a great defense, he did struggle a bit, or at least started off a bit slow. And that game against Northwestern is perfect proof for it. Now, I think Justin Fields will be a great quarterback in the NFL, but I think he has to go to a team with weapons. A lot of mock drafts have him going to the Falcons, which I'm like, that'll work. But if you draft Justin Fields on a team with no weapons, he's literally Cam Newton. He's when Cam Newton first got into the league, he was kind of like, he was a good quarterback, but he became mediocre. And then the Panthers finally had that year where they were great, and Cam Newton had, it was MVP Cam season. And then after that season, Cam Newton fell back into this role of this like mediocre quarterback. And now here he is on the Patriots, mediocre quarterback. You know what I'm saying? They thought he was the answer to get the Patriots back to the Super Bowl. But as you can tell, moving from the GOAT to Cam Newton isn't that big of a change. Justin Fields will be a great quarterback if he gets drafted to a team with great weapons. I don't think he's one of those quarterbacks that can look good with no weapons. Joe Burrow is one of those quarterbacks. Joe Burrow looked pretty good, on that Bengals team this season. Justin Herbert looked great. You know what I'm saying? He had Keenan Allen, but you know what I'm saying? He looked great on that Chargers team, but I don't feel like Justin Fields will be one of those quarterbacks where I'm like, he will thrive on a team with no weapons. I don't think he will. I think he will struggle at first. Maybe it'll get better. I'm sure he'll get better as they get weapons, but Justin Fields is going to be Justin Fields in no time, but you don't want to draft him on a team with no weapons. I feel like his best bet is falling to a team that picks between 11 to 20. That's Justin Fields' best bet. If I'm Justin Fields, I don't want to go to a team with no weapons because that's going to make it a lot harder for me to go out here and look like, a former top quarterback prospect in the nation. But anyway, guys, this has been the Kid in Camp Podcast. I want to thank you guys for watching this episode. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys are thinking. Next time we see you guys will be for the NBA with JT. You guys already know how that's coming. And then that should be Monday. And we'll have, make sure you guys checking out the social media. And when we hit 80 subs, don't forget, we're going to announce that 100 sub giveaway. We're going to do like multiple little gifts and some big gifts. So stay tuned for that. And we'll announce that at 80 subs, which we're 2 subs away from. So probably expect that video sometime this week. This has been your boy Kid, guys. Until next time, I will see you guys soon. Peace.